Good morning everybody. For 12th standard, we are going to start from where we left last class. We were discussing about the different types of anomalies in the genes, and I told you about the different types of Mendelian anomalies that we find and the genetical defects. Today we are going to study about the chromosomal anomaly, chromosomal abnormality. So there are two types of abnormality. One is the autosomal abnormality, another is called the sex chromosome abnormality. Now in autosomal abnormality you will find that mostly there is a defect in the autosome, and in case of the sex chromosome abnormality there will be a defect in the sex chromosome. Now all these abnormalities arise mainly because of the chromosomal non-disjunction. You know, during meiosis, that when the chromosomes are separating, sometimes the chromosomes do not separate in the way they should. Now what happens is, like say for example, that when the meiosis is taking place, if the autosome does not divide in the way it should divide, usually you know that there are 44 autosomes and 22 goes in one gamete and 22 in the other gamete. Now if this 44 autosomes, suppose 23 goes on one side and in other side there will be 21. So naturally this will lead to when the some anomalies when the fertilization takes place even with a normal chromosome. So this is non-disjunction. The separation does not take place equally. Now we are going to discuss about the autosomal anomaly or abnormality, which is called the Down syndrome. Now Down syndrome is called a trisomy. Now trisomy means there usually in the 21st chromosome there is one extra autosomal chromosome. Now if there is an extra autosomal chromosome in the 21st chromosome, then total number of chromosomes is 47 instead of the normal 46 chromosome. Now this leads to a serious abnormality in the children. Now these children are called the Down children, and you will find that they have certain characteristics. Like for example, you will see that they have a watery eye, they have slanted, it's also known as mongoloid idiocy, the eyes are very narrow. Then you will find that they are pigeon chested, they will have, they will be sexually sterile, there are mental retardation, heart defect, and lack of muscle tone. There will be an eye fold, which is an extra eye fold, and mentally these children are all mentally retarded. You know, like even if they are 30 years or even more than that, their age will be, maturity age will be just like a 3-year-old child. But basically these Down children are of very happy disposition. They always will laugh with the smallest amount of, like you create a, they are a little bit humorous and they always are laughing stock. So laughing. So that's what we call a happy disposition we find in the Down children. Now Down children can also be male as well as female, but they are sexually sterile because their sex organs are not well developed. Now the second type of sex chromosomal the other type of abnormality we find in the sex chromosome, like the Klinefelter Syndrome, which is called a trisomy. We have XXY, and the Tardis Syndrome, where we have X0, or it's known as the monosomy. Now here actually the non-disjunction has not taken place in the autosome. The non-disjunction has taken place in the sex chromosome. That means when the sex chromosomes are dividing, instead of that XY, suppose in male, dividing into X and Y on the two gametes, the XY goes to one side of the sperm and the other side there is 0. There is no sex chromosome. Now this XY, if it fertilizes with another X chromosome from the maternal side, then they will have 44 plus XXY. So that means there is a 47 chromosome again, but the extra chromosome is on the sex chromosome. Now that leads to Klinefelter syndrome. Now there are certain characteristics of the Klinefelter syndrome, like say for example, they will have a longer body, the legs will be long, there will be present, there was a masculine development, there were underdeveloped testes, they are sterile, and here's a spurs in the body, there are sterile male with a slight development of the breast. So we see that this type of syndrome occurs. Why do we call it a syndrome? Because we have various types of phenotypically it is expressed in various form, though there is a anomaly in one particular chromosome. Now the other type of what you call the sex chromosome abnormality is the Turner syndrome. Now in Turner syndrome, this is called monosomy because we have one chromosome less. We have 46 chromosomes, but where we have 45 chromosomes. In the sex chromosome, instead of XX or XY, we have X0. That means this is also arising from the non-disjunction. You can see here, like say for example 44 plus XY, instead of dividing into 22 plus X and 22 plus Y, it is dividing into 22 plus XY and 22 plus 0. That means in this particular gamete, there is no sex chromosome. Now if this 22 plus 0 fertilizes with 22 plus X, which is coming from the meiosis, normal meiosis of a female, then this 22 plus X and 22 plus 0 forms 44 plus X0. This particular gamete, this particular zygote which develops into an individual will have 44 plus X, means 45 chromosomes. They have one sex chromosome less. Now this arises to a syndrome which is called the Turner syndrome. Now in case of Turner syndrome, we call it a sterile female. They have poorly developed breast and they have poorly developed ovary with a webbed neck. They have broad chest and mentally they are of average intelligence, and their foot, carpal and the tarsal bones are found to be shorter. Now this is about this particular sex chromosomal abnormality. Now we are going to know a little bit about in details about this non-disjunction of the chromosome. Here we are showing the non-disjunction again about the chromosome, like when the meiosis is taking place, instead of 44XY, suppose it divides 22 plus XY in one of the sperm and another 22 plus 0. Here it is 22 plus X and 22 plus X in the ovum. So if this two fertilizes, you can see, so 22 plus 22 is 44, XY plus X is equal to XXY. This leads to a Klinefelter syndrome. Whereas this 22 plus 0, if this fertilizes with 22 plus X, a normal ovum, there it is 44 plus X0. So that means here we have, this leads to Turner syndrome. Now it is not that always it occurs. This occurs in rare chance. Like women, those who have any type of defects, in later cases there this type of disjunction occurs in suppose if they're more than 35 years of age and they get pregnant, and if they were like in Down children, it is more found that if one of the child is Down, there is chance of having this type of Down child. Now this chromosomal non-disjunction, if it takes place in the sex chromosome, this leads to this type of non-disjunction can also take place in the autosomes. If it takes place in the autosome, then like for example in Down syndrome, the trisomy occurs in the 21st chromosome, does not separate as it should separate. 23 goes on one side, another side 21, that leads to a type of Down child. So this type of disjunctions are more probable in advanced age of getting pregnant. There are chances, these are chance factors are there, but it is not always that in old age this will happen. Now this is all about the disorders we have studied. We'll move to the next topic. We'll just introduce about this next topic little bit. We'll know about mutation. Before we start mutation, you have to know a little bit about the variation and the recombinant. Variations occur, like for example, mainly due to certain factors like the crossing over that takes place, the random fusion which takes place during the process of fertilization, and this leads to various types of variation. But mutation is something which is a variation, but the variation can be a spontaneous variation or it can be an induced variation. So we say mutations are of two types. One is a spontaneous mutation which can occur in the nature due to the presence of certain factors like, say for example, sun rays or electrical waves or electromagnetic waves. It can be due to presence of certain chemicals. It can be due to the gamma rays or the X-rays. So various types of physical and chemical factors can give rise to mutations. Mutations can be lethal, mutations can be deleterious, mutations can be useful, and mutations can be harmful also. Now, mutations basically, when we say, that means there will be some two types of mutations are there. One is gene mutation. Generally it occurs in the genes. Another type of mutation is there, that is called chromosomal mutation, where the change in the chromosomal numbers are there. So, like what we studied in Down syndrome or Klinefelter syndrome, these are types of chromosomal aberrations, or you can aberrations. So, if the chromosome number is different and it leads to a mutation, that is a chromosomal mutation. And if it occurs in the gene, like for example, it can be in one of the factors, like one of the base pair changing, insertion, deletion, various factors can lead to gene mutation. So we are going to study about this in the next class in more details. Thank you very much. Take care, and if you have any question, you can put up the questions, and please go through the lesson as it is. Generally I am going according to the topics, and please concentrate on that. Thank you very much.